Hi, I'm Chas with Chas's Crazy Creations, and today I'm going to upcycle a side table that I found at a thrift store. Let's get started. I found this little side table at the thrift store in Grand Lake, and I just knew it would fit perfectly into our home. It wasn't in bad shape, but the top had some water damage that I would need to take care of. I started by sanding the top and the edges of the piece with my Black & Decker orbital sander. I learned that the piece had been coated in wax, so I made sure to use denatured alcohol to spray the entire piece down to get rid of that wax that would be hard to sand off. I then used Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint in the color Rich Black. I painted the entire surface with the black paint. I let it dry between coats, and I added a second coat. I love this home decor chalk paint. It is water-based, so it's really easy to clean up. After doing the surface, I went around and touched up the rest of the piece. After doing a little touch-up, I realized I was just going to go ahead and paint the entire base as well. I had a space in our living room where I needed a little extra table like this, and I wanted it to match my other existing pieces. Those other pieces have a faux distress look on them, and I wanted to try to mirror that on this new piece as well. I used Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint in the color Java to create the accent I was looking for. Like the other pieces, the distressing was on the curves, and I wanted to mimic that, so I put the Java paint around the curves of the base stem of the piece. I let my piece dry, and on the top I would be using my plaid folk art stencil. I used stencil tape to hold the stencil into place on the table while I would be painting it. I then used Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint in the color white to stencil on the words. Using my stencil brush, I dipped it into the paint to load the paint onto the brush. I then dabbed the excess off onto a paper plate. I then pounced my stencil brush onto the stencil, putting the paint through the stencil and onto the table. Once the entire piece had been coated, I carefully lifted up the stencil tape and lifted the stencil off the table. I then added more stencil to the top and the bottom of the original stencil, so now it went from the top of the table to the bottom. I additionally did this to each of the sides, carefully lifting the stencil and repeating the process. I made sure to let the stencil dry between each time I would replace the stencil on top of the table. Once the table was entirely finished, I let it dry completely before moving on. I then used Folk Art Home Decor varnish to seal the top and protect the table. I made sure to do a light coat and then let it dry and repeated the process, doing a total of 3 coats. I am absolutely in love with this table, and I'm so thrilled with how it turned out. Here's a shot of the original side table, and my other spot where I needed a table is right over here. I think it fits in quite well with the other decor in this room and makes a statement. I hope this inspires you to upcycle something of your own. I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel and my blog. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.